And welcome back to the Part-Time Otaku Podcast. My name is Grant.
My name is Dave.
So another week, more My Hero Academia. If it's your first time listening, we are a anime-only podcast, so no worries of any manga spoilers here. Dave, can you believe it? Episode 4 already.
Feels like it's kind of like just going a little bit faster. I think the fact that we started covering this like a double episode makes it feel a little bit quicker. Like we got to episode 4 faster, and we seem to be like in full swing of this season's arc now, which is pretty tight.
Which I'm glad to see. But before we get to that, I want to give a shout out to this week's thumbnail, BT Calls on Reddit for the Jiro fan art. Like awesome stuff. Like, you know, I know we say this every week there. It's just I'm never not blown away by the fan art that we dig up for, you know, whether it was Attack on Titan or My Hero Academia. There's so many talented people on the internet. It's unreal.
Dude, it's crazy. It's like I was telling Grant last time. It's, you know, not this thumbnail in particular, but it's crazy that people just doodle on their iPads like this, and it's just like studio quality animation. The animation of this one in particular, BT Calls, is super killer. It's almost like an album cover. I don't know. I really like it.
It sounds weird, but like it pops.
Yeah, it pops really well.
Yeah.
It's cool to see all these independent young artists and like their take on these characters that are so popular. I think I was saying to you recently, like one of the people that did one of our recent thumbnails was like 15 years old with no professional experience whatsoever.
That's
and
crazy.
They did it in an afternoon. I was like, are you kidding?
The most artistic thing I did at 15 was still playing with G.I. Joes, so like I don't know.
Yeah.
You know? No, I guess I wouldn't play music then. But anyways, besides the point, let's just get right into it there. So this week's synopsis. The Class 1A team tries to put Shinso and his new equipment to good use in his first match against Class B. Despite some early struggles, Class A improves on their coordination for an action-packed episode.
Chip boy.
Dave, this is the juice. You know, like this is exactly this is what I've been looking for in My Hero Academia.
The juice is loose, bro.
The juice is like, and you know what? I thought for the first few opening seconds, I thought they were about to hit us with another 4 minutes of recap, and I was low key a little pissed.
Yeah, same.
And I was like, oh my god, I almost messaged you. I was like, did they actually do this to us? But it was over in like 10 seconds.
I was gonna say it's closer to like less than half a minute this time. Totally forgivable.
And like immediate lead up into like what we were seeing. It was kind of it wasn't
it's like a recap of the most recent scene, more or less. So that's fine.
Yeah, it was like something what you would see before like an episode of a show starts, like leading into like a like a title card or something like that. So it was kind of like on their part like a little bit of misdirect.
Mm-hmm.
But like just the opening scene, like, or I guess in general, like, did you love it the episode, or like what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I thought this was a strong one. You know, we've talked about this every week where it's like, okay, we think that, you know, this could potentially just be a super packed season or first half of the season or whatever they end up doing. And there's kind of going to be what we're hoping are like 2 arcs, right? Like the overarching arc of, you know, the all for one and one for all quirks, and then like this really fun Class A versus Class B kind of exercise or drill or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, you know, at the pace they're going, they might just do an episode of 1 4v4 every single episode. And it seems like that's kind of what we're going to get. And I'm
so far, yeah, that's kind of what it seems like.
And I'm super down for it. This was a fucking blast.
Absolutely.
Like, this was total fun. It was like very just peak My Hero, you know what I mean? Like it reminds me of like some of those early episodes in season 1 and 2 with like the tournament, the festival in season 3.
I was going to say that this is like it's dripping of sports festival. You know, like the same vibe. It's like the youth is at the forefront, you know, because like that was the thing last season. There was a lot of pro hero action, and it was a lot of learning, like kind of working with your elders. If you kind of catch my drift, like this, but this is all about like the young talent and testing themselves, and it's kind of nice to see the kids just kind of, you know, figure themselves. Go for it, yeah.
Kind of like it's not like they've lost the training wheels. They're still very much on, but like they're not really, you know, like a teacher or a pro hero isn't like present for every move or for every sequence. Like they just kind of have to figure it out and talk with one another, and that's you know, chemistry, team up scenes. We talked about that last week too. This episode is full of it. So yeah, I really like this one.
Yeah, and yeah, all I can do is repeat what you said. This is the there's so many highlights from this episode for me. This is kind of, I don't want to get too specific about a scene, but the animation in this episode at various points, it was shocking. It was like someone cranked up the frames, like the FPS on some scenes. Like, it was just so fluid.
Yeah.
And it's just like you could see the budget in some scenes, It's like it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's crazy too, like, because I'm just so curious. We've talked about how My Hero is like a very consistent show in its animation. I'm really curious to see if like they just continue to pump it out like this, because I don't think that we've, like, this is the kind of podcast, and we're also not the kind of viewers that is like looking at everything with going over all of it with a fine-tooth comb or a magnifying glass and going frame by frame. But like, coming off of AOT, where like sometimes it's a little inconsistent, you just kind of develop a bit of an eye for it.
Sure.
And like in this one, like, just it's always good, but when it's like, when they go a step further, you notice too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there are a couple scenes in here I was like, damn, like someone sat on this one for a couple of extra days for these, like, for this tiny little detail. You can always tell, right?
And it was crazy, like, not to belittle like the cast, like the main core cast of this episode. Like, by no means, none of them are, I would say, Froppy is probably like the most like A tier character, or like S tier character of like the bunch of them. Like, she at least of class 1A. But like the rest of them, they're kind of not like back burner characters, but like if they threw the budget at a scene, and like also too, juggling 2 points here, but last week we were talking, we wanted more Kaminari. And he showed up. We didn't quite get like a full Red Riot episode, but like we kind of showed that he is. There's a reason he's in class 1A. Like, he kind of he's not just the dummy. Like, he's a dummy, but like he brings something to the table.
Totally rose to the occasion. I totally agree. Like, the voice actor was funny. The scenes were written well for him.
Yeah, none
of it felt surprising. So yeah, maybe we should just start at the beginning. Yeah. Episode opens basically Shinsho is explaining how his quirk works. We knew most of this, but he also like gives us a couple details, right? Like, it's not just plain and simple brainwashing.
Sure.
He, it's not super OP. He can only do one person at a time. So he says, or it's like he can't, he might be able to try a couple at a time, but he doesn't think it would work. And also, he can't force the target to think, which is an interesting like limitation.
Yes.
So he can't tell you, hey, do some addition, but he can tell you
write the answer to this problem.
The answer, exactly, right? So that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, he can't basically have like a mind control, like Imperious Curse type shit.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about you, but like I found it really beneficial. Like, not a ton of time was put into that scene. It was very quick, but it was very, it was all muscle, like the mechanics of his ability. And then also too, like last week I was a little confused about how he kind of took over the Beast character. Yeah. It wasn't super clear. Like, they kind of show it, but then they did like a quick little recap of how he actually did it. And then also explaining his, like, not just ability, but like his support device,
the persona chords. Is that what
the persona chords? Yeah. And I thought that was an ability, but I think that's just what his support device is called.
Yeah, it's a support thing.
So that was really cool, and just kind of get into that. And it was so funny too when they brought up the is it the Hatsumi, like the little chibi little segment. It was like baby. Did you see like the slogan on it? It was like Mei Hatsumi's baby support academia or something like that.
Yes.
It's a little silly stuff. It was, I don't know. It was really cool.
I got a laugh out of me at the time.
But it was a very effective scene in a short amount of time of explaining his powers, because it is kind of convoluted when you think about it.
Yeah, and we're juggling a lot, like especially in a 4-on-4 where everybody has quirks. Like, it's good that they take these beats.
Yeah.
To go over it, and limitations as well, right?
Because if they had just repeated themselves from last episode, and he just kind of did his thing, and then they explain it after the fact, like the pivotal moments in the episode where his ability shines, I feel like it wouldn't have had as much weight,
Totally.
So it was like they had to get this out of the way at the very beginning. But so I do have a question. Do you think because he obviously wants to throw down with Midoriya, which he will be. Mm-hmm. He wants that rematch, right?
For sure.
Do you think he's purposely holding back some of his ability?
That's a good question, because that kind of occurred to me too, because he seems, we won't like spoil, or we won't get too ahead, but like he seems to get really clutch at times, and then other times, like early in this episode, he kind of drops the ball a little bit.
And they don't shy away from that either, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, so it's like, is he potentially masking, or reining himself in just a little bit, because he wants to save some of that shine for later, for for the benefit of a surprise? That wouldn't shock me. But I also don't know. Like he's got a weird look and just sort of demeanor, right? Like almost kind of villainy. But like then again, like in some instances, like so does Bakugo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think Bakugo, it's more like, he wears his heart on his sleeve kind of thing. So
yeah, he's just dangerously passionate.
Yeah, so like I don't know, it's definitely like the mysterious wars is like being like blatantly kind of hot-headed.
Yeah, Shinsho's a little bit more of a question mark.
Yes, and it even like, but I will say, like, because you and I had, I think last week had talked about like the unknown with this character, or even a couple of weeks ago. It could go in one of two directions, right? But there are moments in this episode that kind of leans to maybe he just has. That's okay. He has no friends, and like he's trying to go this solo route, but he like they kind of like Kaminari kind of gets a smile out of him at one point. So it's my interest in Shinso or Shinso. I will be saying both, I'm sure.
Shinsho, but yeah.
Shinsho, but like I had no interest in him going forward. Like he was not the thing I was looking forward to this season. But after this episode, I'm truly curious where he's going to end up by the end of it, and where his stance is with everyone else.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. I'm interested to see where they take his character, and like it seems like there's obviously opportunity because he's going to play on both teams, right?
Yes.
I'm going to presume, like this isn't a spoiler because it's in the OP, that like when he gets played or placed on Team B, that team is going to go up against whatever team Midoriya ends up on, right?
Yeah, they have shown that he's going to be like the 5v4 against Class 1A. It's going to be Midoriya.
Yeah, I mean, I'm anticipating that we're going to have a couple of episodes in between before we get to that, and maybe that'll be like a penultimate or a finale or a mid-season thing, who knows.
Oh, I can totally see that.
But yeah, I'm excited to see that matchup, especially with how it went this episode. But we mentioned he kind of drops the ball, so maybe we should mention that, because that happens basically next, right?
Yeah.
He explains like the persona chords and the fact that there's a mic in them and they can mimic sound, and that's how he got the Beast guy in the first place. But before they can really capitalize on that moment, this is the only guy whose name I don't know. The guy who can put people in air prison. Like, he gets in a quick hit in and he locks Shinsho in a little cube. Unless you know his name,
not on hand.
I motion we refer to him as air prison guy, because that's what I have in my notes.
Bubble guy.
Bubble guy.
That's what I was calling him.
Okay, so he kind of CCs Shinsho. And then he wakes up the Beast, and their plan fucking falls to pieces. I was like, oh, that was short-lived.
Yeah, it was. It's really interesting to see, and this is what I was talking about. Like, I'm glad just 1B is not showing up, and they're not just getting clobbered. These are. Yeah. They're two competent teams. Like, obviously, like, it's either going to go one way or the other. Like, there's going to be a winner, but it's good to see that they're not idiots. They're not chumps. Like they are bringing something to the table as well. And it was really cool to see like the air prison air bubble guy, to see him like react and like like you said, CC Shinsho, immediately woke up the Beast, and like they got like right back into like brass tacks there. But I
think this is like the first amazing moment of the episode where I like did a double take. Because the Beast guy starts clobbering people and he grabs Kaminari, right?
Yeah.
And like, the musical cue, the soundtrack, and the animation when Kaminari kind of comes in and then he gets snatched up by the beast, and then he goes, "Oh, if you grab me, I'm gonna shock you."
Yeah, you made a mistake.
Dude, that was so well done.
Yes.
That like long camera pan, like this horizontal pan that they do, getting Kaminari's whole body in it.
Yeah.
As he leads into his attack, that was so cool.
I
That
was
was like the first one of the whole of season 5 where I was like, damn.
I couldn't believe it. I was actually, no pun intended here, but I was like shocked when I saw it. It was like it kind of just kicked in so quick, and it was so fluid. The
fluid is the right word for it, yeah.
It was just it reminded me of Demon Slayer, blatantly.
Oh, yeah. It was big time, specifically Zenitsu.
Yeah, like a sweeping motion, very kind of, I don't know. It was, I was blown away. I could not believe, like, the show has had these spectacle moments, but it was like, from this guy, I was like, yeah, like good for the studio for taking like a cool scene, or what they must have known this would have looked cool or whatever. Like, the decision process of choosing what scene gets that Sakuga,
Mm-hmm.
And this was pure, like, 100% dialed up Sakuga from, like, probably for, like, 2 minutes. And it doesn't end. That's the thing. The remainder of the scene is just so fluid. And I don't know. This, like, already, this is by far my favorite moment of the season, without a doubt.
Yeah, they did a really good job on it. The Beast survives this, ironically.
Yeah.
This guy, like, throughout the episode is just, like, I don't know, he's, like, he reminds me a bunch of like Hulkish type characters.
Yeah.
But he survives it, continues to sort of press his advantage and just like start messing people up. But Froppy's quick on the counter, I guess, and she snatches the bubble guy.
Yeah.
In her tongue,
yeah.
and runs off with him. Like some of these quirks, like like Shinsho's quirk, obviously. And you compare it to like Froppy and the Beast and the guy who's like a literal block and can talk to animals.
Yeah.
It's just such like a vestibule of creativity. Like,
it's
some of them
crazy.
are so simple, like I shoot ice. You know what I mean? And others are like just so neat.
Like even Bakugo, like he's the explosion guy, but like they get down to brass tacks, like this dude produces nitroglycerin on his palms. Like it's such like it's such a niche little idea of like a known power in like other universes kind of thing. I don't know the name of the creator of the show or the manga, but he clearly, the characters he's created, there's a lot of thought and care put into each one of them, and to see them slowly upgrade their powers, like they're, like it's not just like how would I compare this, like Pokemon, like you start off with like a I don't know, like your beginning fire attack, and then you just get an upgraded fire attack later. Like there's no, like it's just like kind of like gradual, but it's like nothing creative and like kind of like makes them unique.
Mm-hmm.
But like in this show, like when they get these power upgrades, it's not just like they get more powerful, like Dragon Ball, like they get stronger, but like they eventually, again, maybe that's not a good reference because I haven't watched the show in a really long time. I'm not caught up, but like usually they would just get stronger and that would be it. Like the odd times they would get like a new ability, but like it's like as
other
they
than
get
the hair
better,
changes, you just kind of punch harder, and that's
exactly. But like in this, like like they're like they almost like evolve, like they're like, and it's simple stuff too, like the bubble guy, like they try and break out Shinsho, and they're like, oh, this was a lot harder than last time.
Yeah.
And it's like
I like that subtle little reference, like
they're working on their abilities, like it's not just getting new ones, it's like adapting what they have and making them more unique or more stronger. It's I agree, like the creativity in this show for these characters, and I've always liked Froppy too, and she also had a stellar episode.
Yeah, like you said, she's kind of the only like the S tier one in that group.
Yes.
Then you got Red Riot, who has his moment.
Yeah.
He's with Coda. The animal guy talks to animals, and they get completely clowned on by the Beast.
That Beast dude is not to be fucked with. Like,
yeah, like more. It's further to your point. The Class B is like really bringing it because they really. I don't know if you would say they had him cornered, but they had a 2-1 advantage and just completely missed. So he gets away,
and that was cool. Like how he just his line of duh, like I'm in human mode now, and
God.
like like the way like he like shrunk and got between them, and that's kind of where I found this scene, the animation kind of kicked back into regular. That was like the last really fluid moment of like when like the two of them try to get in his way and block him.
Yeah.
And he shrinks down and then kind of like comes back to like big size as he comes out the other side.
Yeah, I like that too. And then is it him? Does he grab Red Riot and throw him?
He like just like absolutely like yeets him to the other side of the arena.
It's like, I've been practicing my shot put.
And then just snags up Coda like with like just like 1-2, like had them sorted out.
Yeah. So he gets Coda captured, and Red Riot gets sidelined by the green hair lady. I think her name is Ibarra.
Mm.
And as a result, he's 0-2 against her. Like, because he lost to her in the tournament, right?
Maybe or
no, what am I talking about?
Kaminari lost to her in the tournament.
Yes, Class A is 0-2 against Ibarra.
No, Red Riot went against that other dude that has like the same power, but instead of hardening, he turns into steel or something.
Yeah. I remember that completely.
Tsubasa. He has like the same name twice.
Yeah.
I think it makes me laugh every time he's on screen.
Yeah, okay, so my bad. Yeah, so he gets grabbed by Ibarra, and Coda gets captured. And now like this is like the regroup moment of the episode. Is it the classroom? Is it the homeroom teacher for Class B that is like on the mic?
Vlad, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "What up, bitches?"
Yeah.
He's just dropping the mic.
And what was really cool about this, when they cut to those teachers, there's a moment with Eraserhead. Mm-hmm. And because that was the thing, you and I weren't too sure like what the relationship situation was with him. Like obviously him and Shinso have some, maybe not relation, but like there's maybe some mentorship going on there. Mm-hmm. Obviously with like this, he uses the same bindings as Eraserhead and all that, and he just blatantly points out that like you are more behind, or he was thinking like you are more behind than I thought, kind of thing. Like it's evident, and it shows that like there isn't some like unfair I was really hoping it wasn't going to be like Eraserhead was just like giving up on the rest of the class and he's just going to focus all his attention on this guy.
Yeah, and Shinsho like ends up being like a wizard with these raps and is just dunking on people.
Yeah, so it was just, like he's still as much of a teacher to him as he is the rest of the class. Like, because he's very hard on them, but like for good reason. He's, because they have like the shining smile of All Might around them all the time, and like he kind of acts as like they have a good yin and yang, those two, I find, as like their teachers.
Yeah, man, one of my favorite Aizawa moments is like he is kind of a prick and it's kind of difficult, but like, do you remember in season 1 when they get ambushed by the League of Villains and he just gets decimated trying to protect these students?
Yeah, by
the Nomu. It's like the first Nomu in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it just reminded me of that he is a good teacher.
Absolutely, he cares about them
big time. So from here we regroup. Froppy and Kaminari more or less tell Shinsho, don't blame yourself. They give him some encouragement.
Yeah.
And they sort of allude to, okay, well, we got a plan. Froppy has an ability we haven't seen yet.
Yeah. Well, it's hinted at, too, and they had a nice little moment between Midoriya and Minata about, like, they make a reference to that same thing you were just talking about when the Nomu shows up at that arena, and Froppy, the League of Villains, and Froppy kind of talk. I think Midoriya, it was the three of them. Midoriya's trying to figure out, okay, let's all put our abilities on the table right now. Like, what do we have to work with?
Yeah.
And then all three of them kind of just like said like what they can do, like how they're going to escape the situation. And she, she had like that little personal lore dump, and they recalled to that. Which also too, there was a lot of like flashback, like kind of like half faint in the background flashback moments in this episode, which I thought was really cool. So we kind of like her, and then that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier about like these abilities, and like they're slowly advancing and developing themselves, and it's it's like anything else in the world. Like you're not just like, you don't have a supreme power up. Like maybe Midoriya is different, but like they're slowly getting better at what they can do. It's
so from there, I was like, okay, but how's that gonna help? Like I actually didn't put it together at all.
No.
Did you realize immediately? Oh, like it'll confuse the beast's senses. I was like, I don't. How does this help? I just feel like we're all sticky.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna like maybe like they were gonna try and like paralyze someone, or maybe like
Yeah.
it's something along those lines. And but the scent thing, like when it came up, I was like, oh, that's obvious, like duh. Yeah.
So yeah, they cover everybody in Froppy's slime mucus, and when the beast detects them coming to attack, he only smells Froppy. So more or less, they just don't know who is where, right? Which is, a big help considering Shinsho's quirk and just how different all three of their quirks are. I kind of like this part. There was one weird moment though that I didn't love animation wise, and it's when Ibarra, there's like this like zoomed out shot of her hair. That's what she uses, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Of her hair like growing like vines around all the pipes, and it was just like so clearly CG. It was like this.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, kind of weird to include it because like it just felt like like an unnecessary shot because like we already knew that her hair was like everywhere and like was like growing around. It was like this big threat, and they have this like kind of pointless shot of it continuing to grow, and it's like a not good shot. I was like, you didn't have to. You could just not show that completely, and it would have been fine.
No,
anyway,
I agree.
I'm not a hater. I'm just
no.
It was like I just thought it was like, why?
You noticed it.
I noticed it, yeah. But so she says, screw it. I'm just gonna grab one. And the one she ends up grabbing is Kaminari. I love this whole scene.
Yeah, this is where he really like animation wise earlier in the episode that was really cool, but like as a character he really shines in the next few scenes.
Yeah, man, big fan. So at first, did you think he blew it when like
no, because he opens up right away like it looks like you drew the short straw.
Yeah,
that's his opening line. I was like, oh, okay, there's a plan. Something's going on here, and they don't pick up on that comment either.
Yeah, and then they wrap him up. I'm like, okay, still waiting for you to do something. And then they reveal like the pointer thing.
Yeah, a little flashback.
It's funny, like last week we were like, yo, it feels like, or maybe like 2 weeks ago, we were like, he should have like something.
I think it was last week, yeah.
He should have something to like direct his lightning.
Yeah.
I asked that question in the subreddit. Hi, everyone listening. I got dunked on by like 4 people. They were like, actually, he's had that since episode 53. And you can even see it in the poster material from season 3.
Oh my god!
I'm kidding. They weren't that mean, but they're like, yeah, no, he's had that for a while. You casual.
Yeah.
So apparently he's had that, and I forgot.
Well, I knew he had that, but like because we haven't really seen him in too much action to like kind of see it. Like nothing of like major note. If it wasn't a scene, there's a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
I knew he had that gadget. As to what it did specifically, I don't know.
What a bummer that it didn't work. I was like, yo, this is clutch.
Yeah.
And then the guy with the scales, I forget his name as well, but this guy with the scales on Team B, clutch play.
Yes.
Zaps that thing right off the beast before he can get zapped.
That was a cool, because we were wondering that too. We're like, isn't there like a 4th guy somewhere that we haven't seen yet, or we don't know?
Yeah, he's sort of an afterthought of this episode.
Yeah, but
until this moment. Yeah,
he does, but like when he's on screen, he's very good, and there's a lot of that's the nice thing. Like they, in such a short amount of time, you get a feel for like the personalities of these characters, and he shows who he is. You can tell he's kind of like soft spoken. He's like very like he was analyzing the situation, and like you could tell I think he was more aware of the danger of 1A than the other members of his team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, 100%.
Because Ibarra was kind of doing... What a weird character. I totally forgot about all the religious stuff with her. Like the sheep and the god. And like she has like a priestess vibe to her.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that.
Same. 100% forgot until you brought it up again.
And like the beast is like very aggressive and forward. And then, like the bubble guy too. But he was kind of like laid back. And he's, he's the one that notices the disc from Kaminari, and so like it's cool how like he is an afterthought, but like when he's there, like he's like in the scene, like I appreciated that.
Yeah, and then so I want to specifically mention, because I laughed out loud when Kaminari just like sort of screams in frustration because he's getting wrapped up even thicker by Ibarra. He's like, "What? No!" Because they play on his stupidity really well.
Yes.
Like it's funny every single time, and like when he's just like flummoxed by this, he's like, "You got to be kidding me!"
Yeah. Well, also too, because there's that flashback. Because right when he gets captured, and like I think it's when they reveal the ability of his like his disc shooter and how he can like focus the lightning. He has like a really cool moment when they're coming up with a plan, because like they can see those said vines you were talking about, the ones that you weren't into, and on the spot like he kind of just comes up with a plan of like, hey, like him and Froppy, like they're used to improvising like this. And he immediately, there's a scene they even show it of him taking a step back and purposely putting his foot on a vine and getting snatched up, like he has decided to engage the plan. Like it was like a weird little leadership moment on his part, and that's probably like very character defining for him, in my opinion. Maybe I'm looking in too much, but
I don't think so. I agree. I think that was like a kind of a critical moment for the character. I mean, at least just based off of what we've seen so far, right? Because like we just haven't seen a lot so far. He's always around. She's just not front and center like he was in this one. So clutch play by the guy that shoots the scales, and then clutcher play by Shinsho. This was good. I didn't see it coming. Like they do, like his quirk is such a fun like monkey wrench into the whole thing, just because it's like the heat of battle calms like just confusion, and he just capitalizes. He says, "What do you remember what he says?" He gets Ibarra.
Yeah, he makes a line of "Hurry up and reset your vines, like they're coming or they're getting closer," or something like along those lines, I think. And she goes, "Yeah, I'm on it." I think along those lines.
And then she gets dummied.
Yeah, just out. And his power is cool because like it's all done off screen, you know? Like you don't need to see his mouth, you don't need to see him. It's all based on like everything around him, or like other people. So it's kind of cool, like at any time, at any moment, like he, like 3 seasons from now, they could all, there could be like in a really tough fight and they don't know what they're gonna do, and there could be a line that comes off screen and everyone's like, oh shit, Shinsho's here, he's got our back, like it's so like going forward, the moments they can use him for, I feel like could be really cool. And this scene kind of, to me, kind of made that stick out.
Well, it's even, I think it's enhanced by what happens next, right? Yeah. Beast just says, screw this, and he just starts charging at the only remaining cent, because I think he's aware that Froppy is present at this point, and she's going to engage the guy that shoots scales.
Well, I wanted to ask you, did you see what he did to signal?
No, what did he do?
As he's running away, he's running on his 2 back feet and his left arm.
Yeah.
And his right arm is out pointing. And that is the direction that Froppy comes ripping in and kicks the guy.
Yeah. I remember that.
I was like, that is cool. Because they're talking at him and he wouldn't respond.
That was the big brain move I was going to mention. Like, he's just he's just like, all right, screw this, I'm not talking anymore. And then the pointing.
Yeah.
He was a serious challenge in this whole episode. He had some really cool plays, and this is like the coolest one. But he charges at Shinsho, and in this moment, I was like, oh, okay, is the party over? Like, is he just gonna ragdoll?
Because he could have.
Yeah.
They had no. If the plan had not gone down, he would have absolutely cleaned house on all of them.
Yeah, he seems like one of just like a power scale character where it's like, ah, crap, like you can't really control him super easily, and he seems to be smart. So that was tricky, but it was cool to see Shinsho use the raps relatively effectively, and it was cooler, I think, of the show to not give him the win just off that.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like, oh, I know
he still has a long way to go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like it's not like you pull one move and like boom, like you win. It's like, nah, like this guy is a literal beast. He's just gonna get up again. But that makes the win so much better. Because
and then just the signaling of the loss. Like he, the Beast thinks he has it in the bag. He's about to like knock this dude out, and then he can hear the talking, and he's ignoring it. And then there was kind of like a little joke they played when Class 1B had their moment to kind of like converse with one another before like the conflict.
Yep.
And they were getting his name wrong.
Yep.
And the scales guy was good, and then like so obviously like the scales guy, is calling him by the wrong name, and that's when he clues in, and that's when he gets absolutely like dummied. I know. By Froppy. That was a really really cool moments in this episode. Action moments.
Did Froppy throw him into like the scale guy into Beast from behind? That's what got them both. Yeah. That was clutch play by her, because she basically 1v1'd the scale guy, and then he used his corpse to bludgeon. I mean, it wasn't that dark, but big play by her, big brain Froppy. And then but like that, it further shows like the value behind Shinsho's quirk, because one, you can't answer him and you can't speak, and then when you're being spoken to, you can't ever be confident that it's not him, so you might miss out on realistic communication and not just superfluous communication.
Like
Shinsho's quirk is completely what won them both of those engagements at the end, by the confusion that it caused.
Absolutely. And it's nice too, because like going a little further, I guess the episode's done at this point, but there's a moment with Midoriya talking to Uraka and Minata about because they're all like, oh, like Shinsho, like, he like won the day. And Midoriya, like, not like, he's not being a dick or anything, but he's like, well, no, like, it was Kaminari and Froppy's like quick thinking that.
Yeah, they made some clutch plays.
But he even says like it was their improvising that lifted up Shinsho to get them the win. You know, like, so like if it was just reliable, but then he follows up saying like, this dude is going to be a pro hero one day. Like, this dude controls the battlefield.
Yeah. Midoriya is such a well-written character. Like I was saying last week, like it was so cool to see him kind of taking notes again and like just being such a dork about the whole thing. But yeah, that is the end of the episode, because following that, they announced that Class A wins. They captured all 4 of Class B's contestants, or whatever you want to call it. And that's it. I didn't even see if there was a stinger for next week.
So there was, and I'm making my official proclamation now. I am done with My Heroes like next week on.
Oh, really?
It is so spoilery.
Oh, really?
Of like, and not like, there's obviously no verbal cues, but like they blatantly say, I don't want to ruin it for you, but like they talk about a member in one of the teams and how like they say his new power is being introduced, and this person is targeted and they're having a hard time, and it's like I don't want to know specifics. I want you to jog my mind. I want you to make me think, and like like, do you know what I mean? Like,
they're kind of taking the heat out of it. Like, instead of being like, guess what happens, it's like, this is gonna happen and it'll be cool.
Because like when we were watching Attack on Titan, like they obviously tease visual moments, but it's a lot of the time it's out of order and it's like different context, and it's just like it's for the imagination to think, and it creates conversation between you and I, which beneficial to us and the show and all that. But in this way, it was like flat out. It's like I know the major beats of the episode already.
Yeah.
There's no room for conversation and discourse, and I don't know. It just I going forward, I think I'm done with that.
You're gonna abstain from the stinger.
I agree. I think so. Like, it's
there you go.
Yeah, it was a little lame, because they did that. I did it the first week, and I was a little shocked, and I was like, oh, that's a lot of stuff they put in there. But this was like, they blatantly say like, this person's gonna have a rough time, and that person's gonna unlock their new power. They're gonna show off their new power. It's like,
it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, so I don't know, but yeah, I did watch it and it sucked.
Yeah, well, there you go. So yeah, we'll like, it comes out Saturday morning, so we'll tune in then, and then we will be back again next week, because I think that pretty much wraps it up for this one, right?
Yeah, that's kind of neatly ties it up, getting ready for next week.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Again, we're just new to My Hero Academia coverage, so if you feel like we're missing anything, don't hesitate to let us know in the comments. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff on whatever platform you're listening to us on. But otherwise, we'll see you on Reddit, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.